And sometimes we need to be reminded of certain things in life, and I am very comfortable doing this for all of us. So, I'm in the military, I get out, I'm working at Bally's, and I learn a little bit about sales, then I get into business, and then I start working at Morgan Stanley Deanwood the day before 9/11. I get started in the business of insurance with Practice Company. It took me 15 months to become an FA. How many of you guys became FA faster than me? If you could stand up, if you became FA faster than 15 months, can you please stand up? Okay, just so you know, you are on a faster track than I was. 15 months it took me to be an FA. So, I don't know if this thing's gonna work for me or not. Eventually I become a marketing director. December 15th, 2009. I will never forget the day I became an MD. My dad was there, he was sitting right next to me. We were driving down in a Ford Focus. He's sitting next to me at the Queen Mary Ballroom, and Jennifer is there with her ex-boyfriend, okay? And before they're doing the announcements, I walk up to the bar, and I see he's there, he buys me a drink, and I say, hey man, when are you gonna put a ring on that? You know what I'm saying? Like, because she's pretty hot, when are you gonna? And he says, oh, she'll never leave me. I'll put a ring when I'm ready to put a ring on it. I said, dude, you ain't got a lot of time. Somebody's gonna pick that one up. No, I'm gonna be fine. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. I had no idea I was gonna be the one that's gonna put a ring on it 5.5 years later. But anyway, that's a different story. Very happy I did, because I can't imagine, listen, I cannot imagine life not having met Jennifer, not having met Patrick, not having met Dylan, not having met Senna, and not having met Brooklyn. Life doesn't make sense with those people at all whatsoever. But we're at Queen Mary Ballroom, Pops is sitting here, and the speaker's going up, and the next person we're going to promote. There was only one marketing director promotion, just to kind of give you guys an idea. There's one person going to promote, this one is going to do this and this and this and that. My dad says, like, who are they talking about that's going to do some stuff? I said, I have no idea what they're talking about, but we're going to find out. The guy must be a pretty special guy. And he said, please, next marketing director, give it up, Patrick Bet-David. I go up, I get on stage, I grab the plaque. Tim Collins asked me to come back. Tim Collins is no longer with us. He was the first guy that did a BOM for me. His wife and I spoke a few years ago when he passed away, because I'll never forget the first person that did a BOM. And he says, hey, why don't you tell us why you did this business? And I get up and I say, my reasons were, I was $49,000 in debt. I didn't like the fact that my sister and her husband didn't go on a honeymoon. I wanted them to go on a honeymoon. And I wanted to retire my dad so he didn't have to work at a 99-cent store anymore. By the way, you know, I don't do BOMs anymore, which means I haven't told the story for, I don't know how long. You guys do BOMs two times a week. I don't do BOMs anymore. I miss that part of the game. And I said, you know, I'm here announcing to my dad, I don't ever want you to work at that 99-cent store ever again, right? I go sit next to him. My dad's in tears. Guy gets up, a guy named Monty was there. He says, Patrick, we also just got word that you got qualified to go to Hawaii. You get to take anybody with you. What do you want to take? I take my dad. We go to Hawaii the first time. They give us the ghettoest room in the corner. Our view was a parking lot, right? So I'm like, Dad, look at this view, Pop. Oh, Dad, don't look at the view. Just close this. This is a bad view. We're walking in Hawaii, and all I see my dad fall in love with the city we were in. Man, why are some people so nice? They're so smooth. They're so easygoing. By the way, last night we were at the Super Slap event with Jen. This one guy from Hawaii shows up. He slaps the guy so hard, I thought the guy died. Yes or no, baby? So I don't think my dad met those Hawaiians. I think he just met all the friendly ones. Because Hawaiians are, you know what I'm saying? But what I noticed happened with my dad started drinking. And we both started drinking. I said, man, I'd like this thing to be a regular thing for us. Then we leave. Every day we're supposed to go eat breakfast. Anybody's ever had breakfast in Hawaii before? Can you tell me how much breakfast is per person? It's like 40, 50 bucks a person. So they gave us coupons or whatever it is. So we were able to eat breakfast a couple times. But then I'm like, Dad, you know, this is great. This breakfast isn't that good anyways. You mind if we go to Walmart? We just went to Walmart. And absolutely. We would would come back, we would make our ham sandwich with honey mustard and stuff. And did you guys have breakfast? We didn't see you in the morning. We went early. You woke up late. We had breakfast early. So it was good. It was work great. You know, we're saving $600 of breakfast money. Hey, we didn't go, what do you call that stuff that you jump over with the car and it goes, it's like dirt, you know, what is it? ATV. How much is it? It's only $75. You want to go with your dad? Really not a fan of ATV. Honestly, it's like bad for your back. And who the hell wants to do stuff like that, right? Well, you totally understand you don't want to do it. I can't afford $75. I mean, you just barely went to Hawaii the first time. Anyways, that happens, life changes. And then eventually, a few things takes place. I think this is very important for you guys to know. I joined the Army with a friend of mine that we went to high school together. I love this guy. Till today, I love it. I miss him till today. One of my best friends from high school texted me a picture today, which was kind of funny, and he's going back and forth. This guy was like my best friend. I would play Fester's Quest with him at his house. His dad passed away, his mother's still with us, 80, and he's going through some things himself. But I had this friend, we were in first grade together in Iran. We joined the Army together. We went to high school together. We worked at Bally's together, and we started WFG together. First grade Iran, junior high school, Army, Bally's, WFG. Then we're working in WFG, practice company. And we're going together. I'm making 50, he's making 30. So the difference in income is what? $20,000. There's not a big difference in income. And then I get to a Hawaii trip, he doesn't make it. And he says, you went without me. I said, brother, you weren't working. You took 2 months off. What do you mean I went without you? So then I'm upstairs, he's talking to another guy that's in his ear. And I'm watching them talk, and I'm able to hear it. And the guy is saying, Patrick, I qualified to Hawaii because of you. If it wasn't for you, you would have never gone to Hawaii. So then I come back into my office, and I sit down. I said, so how you doing? Good, how you doing? I said, got it. I understand. How you doing? And then he flipped. So then I'm busting my tail. Then we open up. You want to open up an office? I'm going to open up an office with you. We open up an office in Granada Hills. I'm an SMD ring learner. He's a MD $60,000 earner. And we open up the office. And then he proposes to this girl. And he buys her a $5,000 ring. And he says, I can't pay rent this month. I said, why not? He says, I just proposed to my girl. I said, good for you, bro, but we got to pay rent here. He said, I can't pay rent this month. He says, what kind of a friend are you? I'm getting a ring for my girl, I'm getting married. Are you not happy for me? You're making all the money because you're override and you want to do something like this? I was like, this guy's acting very strange. Second month, no rent. Third month, no rent. He starts hanging around with people that are playing poker late at night. How many of you guys remember when the guy won the poker tournament, Moneymaker? Anybody remembers Moneymaker when he won? Who remembers Moneymaker? He won with a 2 and a 5 or whatever that hand he had, that big crazy hand. So he wants to be the next Moneymaker. 8 months later, he hasn't paid rent. My partner leaves and he goes to Costa Rica. If you remember, he went to Costa Rica. My other guy that's in the office, the girl that's running the rent, comes back and says, just so you know, I've not been deducting rent from them. I've only been deducting rent from you. She's crying. I said, so you mean to tell me I've been paying this $30,000 by myself? Yes. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? So then they come and they say, look at you. You make all the money while we're all broke. I said, bro, when I'm running appointments, you're at the house playing poker. Nobody told you to stay at the house. I got bigger dreams than you. Why are you upset? Either be excited for me, run beside me, or stop bitching. But don't be envious. You chose not to do it. It's not my fault. That's your choice, not my choice. Let's continue. 3 months later, he quits. He quits the business. Today, if he was with us, he would have been making $1.5 million a year. He makes $100,000 a year income, still living in the same place. Life is the same thing. And he's gained 200 pounds. And it's everybody else's fault except his fault. Right? And I'm rich today because of him. Let's go to the next phase. Next phase. I start working. I have another guy that comes in. And I start working with this guy, and he had an office in Burbank. I don't know where his office was. Could have been Burbank. Was it Burbank or Woodland Hills or something like that? You know what I'm talking about? Somewhere around there. So none of his people on his team, even though he's in my base shop, are allowed to come and talk to me. None of them. So he's in his office, he's doing his thing, and his guys are required to talk to him before they talk to me. It was a dictatorship full on. Until one guy said, no man, I want to go talk to Pat. I was field training 3 people for him in Long Beach. I used to go to World Trade Center Long Beach. Anybody knows World Trade Center Long Beach? I was doing meetings there every week for about 1.5 years. Every week, 13 months, I did meetings at this World Trade Center Long Beach. And I would drive down to Long Beach and I'd come back. I'd train this guy named Clarence, who was a coach. He had another guy named Carl Buggs, who was a coach for track at Cal State Long Beach, because Cal State Long Beach had a great track team, and I would always go there. Bill James, you remember Bill James? He always texts me out of nowhere. He says, hey, is this still your number? I said, Bill, I haven't seen you for 15 years. Hey, I just want to let you know, it's great what's happened with you. So I'm working with these guys. He doesn't like me to talk to his guys. He's worried his guy's gonna have a relationship with me. I said, what's the issue here, man? I'm trying to help you get to the next promotion. Eventually, one guy comes and talks to me. It's the youngest guy on that team. Hey, Pat, can I talk to you? Yeah, who's this? George Palato. Hey, look, I don't know what's going on. I want to have a relationship that's good there and good with you, but I want to work with you and I want to learn from you. And I feel like I'm doing something wrong here. Do you mind if I work directly with you? No problem. He works with me. George becomes a marketing director at Strange Leg. He starts working with me. One day, we're at Shepherd of the Hills. That guy, Siamek's gonna think, how the hell I remember this story. That guy is in the church, Shepherd of the Hills. He's in the bathroom, handling his business. Siamek is standing here. He says, hey, how you doing? What do you do? Oh, I'm with, XYZ. Oh, really? Yeah. Who do you work with? Patrick Bet-David. Really? Yeah. You know he wouldn't be who he is without me. He says, what's your name? Boom. He has no clue. Siamek is my brother. And so Siamek comes and says, Pat, I was just in the bathroom with a guy, and he told me that without him, you would have never been where you are today. I said, which guy was this? So I said, let's just wait. The same guy comes out of the bathroom. Siamek, are you in here? Do you remember that conversation? Yes or no? Yes or no? So he says, Pat, that's the guy. I said, I remember that guy. One day, Cindy was courageous enough. I don't know if Cindy will remember this. Cindy came up to me and she said, Pat, I don't know if I can do this anymore. He's the one that's greeting people. He's saying bad things about you and he's recruiting them to a different company. I feel like you need to know this. I went up to him, I said, you can take your stuff, leave the office, you can't be here anymore. I wish you nothing but the best. You can't do that, I don't work for you. You're right, but I'm on the lease, you're not, get out, okay? He got out. So you notice when people question my character, what happens to me. I'm not a fan of that because I'm a guy that's a character-based guy. So then we go and open up Northridge office. In Northridge office, everybody, Granada Hills was a crazy thing. Michael Robertasio, you just texted me earlier, we talked, I don't know. Michael, make some noise, I want to know where you're sitting at. Are you in here or no? Is Michael not here? Where are you, Michael? Okay, Michael's over there? Okay. Michael, how much do I love you, Michael? How much do I love you? Where's Michael at? Okay, scream if you know how much I love you based on how you scream. What did he say? Michael Robertasio is the only guy ever where I saw a guy who was fast starting and he says, you smoke weed? You smell like you smoke weed. You're gonna take this serious? I'm like, Michael, you can't ask people questions like that. Michael, that was 20 years ago. I don't think Michael's done it nowadays. Maybe he does. I don't know if I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But Michael texts me, and we have this Granada Hills office. Michael one day comes out and says, Pat, because he would always park the car in front of neighbor's garage. I'm like, Michael, you can't park. He says, Patrick, what do you want me to do? I don't want to be late to pregame. You tell me don't be late to pregame. If I park, I said, I understand. But like, if this family has to take their kids out, bro, You guys are where we park the car? Do you guys understand what I'm saying to you? Like, you have to come out the garage to leave. Michael chose to park it right here, as if he's a cop. So one day he comes, he says, Pat, you won't believe what happened. I said, what happened? They stole my stereo system and my surfboard. I said, bro, I would steal your stereo system and surfboard. You don't park places like that. Anyways, that's a whole different story. So we go and open up an office. In this time, guys, there's a couple guys in my office and they're like, okay, we can't get an office. We should open up an office together. I said, no, we're not. Why not? We've been in the same office together. We should go to the next office together. I said, we have been in the same office together. You didn't pay for rent for 8 months. You're always late. You don't take full-timers seriously. I'm done with your low standards. You go get your own office, I'm gonna get an office. It's gonna take you 6 months to get it. We're gonna go back to Gora Hills. You think so? Yes, no problem. I went knocking on a couple hundred offices in Northridge to ask them the following question. Yes, are you guys subleasing your office? Subleasing? No, thank you. Are you subleasing your office? No, thank you. Are you subleasing your office? Yes. What's this company? Penn Mutual. Do you mind if I look at your office space? Yes. 4,755 square feet. Why do I know the square footage? Because one day, I don't know where I was at, Jose calls me saying, Pat, we're about to be fined because the fire department is telling me our max we can have here is what? 48. Fred Terrace's responsibility was to go escort people from the back so I wouldn't get arrested because we had 300 people in the office. Who remembers those days if you were in doubt? Some of you guys do. So we go to the next office. Another person that doesn't want to raise their standards. Totally fine with me, but I'm not waiting on them. We go to Northridge. We open up Northridge. Granada Hills became the #1 office. Northridge became the #1 office. It was insane. Crazy. Everybody wants to be at this office. We're having a great time. Late night, we're doing stairs. Everyone's working out. Finally, people are old enough where they're not making out every Sunday when they sneak into the office. They have a bedroom and a house to go to. I don't need to walk into younger people hooking up all the time. Guys, we have so many stories. One that's going to be written about in a book, and no one's going to believe it. The only thing we didn't have is the wolf of, you know what I'm saying, like stuff like that we didn't do. So I don't want you to kind of go where we did a lot of crazy stuff. But, and I don't know if you know what this means. If you don't say it. But if you know what it means, you watch the movie. It's one of my dad's favorite movies. Sorry, Bob. I know you love Wolf of Wall Street. So, now you know my dad's humor. So, Northridge blows up. I got a couple other guys. Well, you're winning because of me. If it wasn't because of me, you would have never won. Really? Yeah. Huh. Do you really believe that? What is it with everybody thinking I'm winning because of you? You think I'm winning because of you? Yeah. I don't understand what you guys have in common. All of you guys think the world revolves around you. I can keep telling these stories over and over again. It happened in PHP. Many times at the beginning stages, I started a company and I said the following. I said, guys, September 23rd, we go to Lulu's. We go to Lulu's. Mario, I don't know if you're in here. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. You're here, where are you? Okay, Mario's up. That's very impressive. Guys, we've been past Mario's bedtime for 30 minutes. I'm so impressed. Can we make some noise for Mario? Honestly, this is like the most impressive thing. I am so proud of you, Mario. You're perfectly changed. That's what happens when you have kids. It kind of messes with your schedule. Let me tell you what happens here. Day 1, September 23rd, we go to Camorlinga. Am I saying it correctly? Is that the name? He owned Lulu's. He was the manager, making like $170 a year. Good guy. I'm about to announce we're starting PHP. Mario says, Pat, this is the wrong place to do it. There's too much noise. I said, cool. He says, he signals, let's go back to the office. We go back to the office. I announce, here's what we're doing, PHP Vision. We're going to take over the world. We're going to put presidents in the White House, senators, congressmen. We're going to raise kids that's going to fight for the freedom of this country. It's going to happen. We're going to be bringing presidents to events. We're going to bring Kobe to the events, the greatest comedians to the events. We're going to pack arenas. We're going to make such a massive positive impact in the country and the world. We're going, right? Here's how the meeting ends. I said there's a 90% chance we're going to get sued. And if you don't want to get sued, don't come. And I also said, 2 of you out of these 7 within 90 days are going to turn against me. and you're gonna talk a bunch of gibberish behind my back. Oh, it'll never be me, it'll never be me, it'll never be me. I said, bro, like, I'm nothing special. If people turn against Jesus, you think you're not gonna turn against me? I'm a freaking nobody. They turn against Jesus, and Jesus has done what to the world? I'm wise enough to know that anybody can turn on you at any time because you're always looking for running mates. 6 months later, we have a run. We would always run for this one thing. I don't remember what it was called. Center of Assault Influences for Kids. CATS, what did it stand for? What did CATS stand for? Center for Assaulted Teens, like where kids were assaulted. We would run and raise money for them, and every year we had the most runners. We would go against Wells Fargo, I don't know, whoever it was. The two people that I said would quit came to the run and said, guys, don't stay with Pat. He's bringing quotas. You guys gotta quit. This is not the place to be. There's 180 runners, they're telling this to everybody. And I said, this stays here. That day I talked to Veronica Terrazas. I don't know if Veronica's in the room. I talked to Mario Aguilar. Mario, you and I spoke that day because of the confusion. And I think I spoke to John Mason. John, if you remember this, we had a call that day as well when I called. He's like, Pat, what's going on? Even though he was not at the run. And they said, without us, you need to make a lot of money, because without us, you can't build a company. Another person. There's about 100 people that have said this in my life, okay? Let me tell you what's happened during the time. All I watched is how hard our guys worked, and all I said is, I want that guy's dream to become a reality. First time at Jose's house when he cooked me salmon, and his mom was there, I fell in love with his mom. I saw his mom, how he would talk about his mom, how the siblings would talk about the mom. I fell in love with the Erica and the Maurice Johnson family. I fell in love with all of them, including Susan, including Roy, every one of them. I said, Jose's a special guy. I fell in love with that family that day when he brought me to his house and he said, hey man, can I cook for you? He came to my office, he says, I want to be part of your office. I said, you can't do it unless you go to church for 12 weeks straight. If you go and you sit in the front row, then I'll invite you to my office. 12 weeks he went to church, sitting in the front row. I can't tell you how many people Jose's baptized. Jose's not one that's going to give the numbers. Maybe Jose's baptized 500 to 1,000 people at his church in LA. Maybe I'm giving a small number here for you guys, right? So let me tell you what else happened. 12 weeks later, full-on Christian, not dating anybody. Guys, I've met a lot of good-looking guys in my life. Jose's one of the top 10 best-looking guys I've ever met in my life. He was a suave, good-looking body, would go work out, train, all this stuff. And then I saw him committed to God. He committed because he wanted a wife one day. Marlene came in the picture, they met, they got married, they got 3 beautiful kids. He's an incredible father. Marlene's an unbelievable mom, and they're doing a phenomenal job raising the next generations of leaders in America. I wanted this dream to become a reality. I've seen Jose, we've had some private moments together where he's gotten emotional. I wanted this guy's dreams to become a reality. There's nothing that excites me more to see that happen. When I saw George came into my office crying, and him and his mother, George is not a crier, by the way. He's not a guy, he's a very proud man. He's been raised to be a proud man, but he's a sweet man. He's sweet, he's a sweetheart, but he's a fighter. It's a very unique combination that George has. And I saw how protective he was of his family, of his sister Jan, of his mom, of his younger brother. I just watched this guy, and how he was like almost like a leader of a gang. People gravitated towards being around George. The only deeply concerning event we had is the first Halloween we went together. But that one I'm trying to still figure out a way to get out of my head, but that's a different event we had. But even at that Halloween event, he was wearing a 3-piece suit. He came up to me and he said, I'm gonna be your biggest guy. I said, George, you're 18 years old. You're not gonna be my biggest guy. You're gonna still change 20 jobs. He said, no, I'm gonna be your biggest guy. I said, good for you, George, but I appreciate your sense of humor. He leaves. You know, as much as it was tough, because in life, this is what I've learned. One time, I disrespected my dad hardcore, and he was in pain. He was in a lot of pain, because I was an asshole one day to my dad. And I went up to him, I went to sleep and I felt like shit. Because I'm like, dude, you just, what an asshole you are to this freaking guy that's done everything for you, man. Are you out of your freaking mind? I woke up in the morning seeing if he's gonna hold a grudge. He made me breakfast early in the morning.
Oh my God.
After the way I talked to you yesterday, you wanna make me freaking breakfast? What the hell is the matter with you, bro? I wouldn't make you breakfast. I would freaking poison the breakfast. I'd put a plate up beside you. He made me breakfast. And made me dinner, breakfast again. 1 week, we don't say a single word, even though we're roommates. A week later, I come, I said, Dad, you were right. I love you. I'm sorry. My dad is my best friend in the world. I will never risk using that kind of a relationship in my life because I got some confusing voices in my head from other people or myself. We live together now. One of the greatest blessings God's given me. Till today, I'm the richest I've ever been. I have an incredible life. I have incredible people around me. And I can tell you right now, sometimes we only pray when nothing's going our way. I can tell you right now, there's no way in a million years my life is where it's at today without God. I am so thankful for the man. I'm very lucky. I think about Sapalas. One of the things I always respected about these guys, I never thought it was possible, is I've never one time heard from anybody that they ever fight. I never understood how they did that. Sheena and Matt never fought, ever. I've never had a friend come up to me and tell me they had a big fight in the middle of the elevator. It's just never happened. That kind of stuff would never happen with Sheena and Matt. And obviously, guys, when we announced that the debate, you have to pick a spouse, you know what's easy for them. You know what I'm saying? Just like, babe, you do it, you do it. I know Alejandra and Llamas, of course, they never argued. None of the spouses argued at all. I'll never forget, I'm in the car talking to Matt. I said, Matt, I've dealt with a lot of big ego guys. It's very comfortable working with a guy like you. You're not intimidating to me. I'm going to push you if you're coachable. We're going to take over the world together. Amen. Sheena, look at me, boom. We're in the car, 2 o'clock, Escalade. And you want to know what's crazy, Stan? A lot of people ask, well, why does Sapalas have an edge over everybody else? Guys, it's very simple. Sapalas have never had an ego issue with me, never been uncoachable, always been respectful, and that is so hard to do. What they do. So hard to do. So hard to do. It's not easy to do. And I am forever grateful for the two of you guys. Forever. You sent me your mom's picture the other day. I'm like, I don't know if that woman knows or not. She changed my life because she raised you. And if we don't meet you, I don't meet Sheena, and I don't meet the incredible friendships I have with the people in MSM. If I go to an MSM Million Point Bishop, you know what the biggest thing is right now? Who's the last Million Point Bishop retreat I'm going to go to? Because if I go to MSM, I'm not coming home till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because we're playing Spades. Because I got to put a whooping on Jamie and, we got to play a friendly game with Jamie and Ellis. I want to be diplomatic here, wherever they're sitting at. Jamie, much respect for you. And Ellis, I love you, Ellis, wherever you are. I can continue going on and on and on and on. Here's one thing you have to make a decision in life. And you better be ready for this one. If you choose not to work because you're content with the kind of money you're making and others continue, you have zero reason to be envious of that person's life. You chose to stay home and not run appointments, not Rodolfo and Cecily. You chose to play small, not Sheena, not Sapala. You may be sitting here saying, why did Vargas get the most shares? Has anybody here ever ran a level 5 GEP, let alone 3 out of 5 months? Has anybody here ever made $220 a month, 4 months straight, worst case, and one of the months was 306? No, that's why Integrity looked at the numbers and said, hey man, if we got guys like this, we want to take care of guys like this. And kudos to Integrity for identifying people like Vargas and saying, we want to take care of the next generation of leaders in PhD. What companies do that? Integrity does. Integrity does. That's why I got that respect for Brian and his leadership team. So, what does this mean? I joked with Habib, I don't know if you guys caught the part when I said, listen, and I also don't like to talk about politics and we're just a bunch of mess. How many guys caught that part? It was kind of like, you know what I'm saying? Like, By the way, did you guys see the whole conversation about Michael Jordan? Did you catch that part with The Last Dance? Were you following that whole story, or was it just me that kind of saw it? Do you think he's gonna, or do you think he's gonna listen to his mom? I don't know if he's gonna fight. I'm convinced he's not gonna do it. I think he's gonna, do what he's doing. But listen, I have a lot of concerns, and with what's going on with America. Because we're backstage, we're talking, me and Habib, and we're talking about what's going on with America and all this other stuff. This is the greatest country in the world, but we have a few problems today. They're trying to confuse our kids. They're trying to go after our kids. Ricky said it yesterday or Dave, I think you said it yesterday. He's absolutely right. They're targeting your kids. Did you notice when Khabib said, teachers can be crazy too. I'm spending 8 hours for kids to go. Did you catch that part when he said that over? Where you can either interpret that as private school, you can interpret that as homeschooling, or you can interpret that as being involved. Today, Sable, you came up to me and you said you're running for, what did you just run for, Sable? Can you tell us what you just ran for? School board. And we talked about this just a few months ago, maybe a year ago. So God, I'm doing something about it. I'm running for school board because there's no way in the world this kind of stuff's going to happen with our kids in our community. When we started this company, there was a real crusade behind it. When I first said where we're going, what the vision is, 500,000 licensed agents, 6,000 MDs, 500, all this other stuff. And by the way, you guys are supposed to carry that. You're supposed to now carry that to the next level, right? When I casted that vision, the biggest thing for me was, I was born in Iran, but I'm made in America. My kids are going to be raised here. I want them to go to school here. I love seeing Vera's kids. I just had a very good conversation with Vera. Vera, I'm looking forward to it, bro. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm looking forward to it. What you just said to me. I see your kids. I see Hazen David with their kids. I see how excited Jose is with his boys. I see Rodolfo. We're in the back. Was it in the million? What were we at directors and Rodolfo was just in tears, emotional, like we're having this incredible conversation right back here. And I'm just looking at Rodolfo. Jen is talking to Ceci. Ceci, did you guys already announce? Do people know or do people not know yet? Yeah, Ceci's showing the house to Jen. Jen's like emotional, telling me, babe, I was talking to Ceci because our nanny, Melba, who's changed our lives. Her sister is Rodolfo and Ceci's nanny, and they're incredible. Melba's going to retire this year, so the hardest thing is trying to find a nanny. The other day, Jennifer tried to interview a nanny. This lady comes in. I'm like, here we go. I said, Jen, hi. Lady comes in day one. She says, babe, I don't think this is going to work. I said, babe, give her a break. She brought Jim Gillespie. She works out. I've never seen this lady, 60 years old, but she brought workout clothes. It's pretty impressive. By the beautiful lady, so you're thinking like this. Now she's actually very good. She's like, oh, maybe she's doing working out. I don't know what she's doing. She speaks like all these languages. She's got an MBA. She's got all this stuff. And then the second day, I'm in the middle of a meeting. Jen's texting, babe, I'm sending her home. I said, what happened, babe? It's just not going to work out. It's just not going to work out. It's just not going to work out. After you have Melba, Brooklyn. Did you guys notice Brooklyn running around here doing what she's doing, how comfortable she is? Brooklyn screams all day long. And you know what my dad says every time? She's following Melba's example. I don't know if you've ever been around Melba, guys. If you've ever been around Melba, you're gonna walk away like, you know how you ever work at a motor pool in the military, you work with helicopters or planes? You have ear problems afterwards. That's Melba's level of, what do you call it? Where she can go. She has no, what's the word? She has, her tone, guys, is like this. Do you know, outside of that, there's nothing else that we don't love about Melba. So we have a certain unique relationship here. And by the way, I don't want to say nothing else. Her cooking's not that good, but that's a different story. But we love her. We love her. She's our mother. She says, daddy, 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 daddy. She's like my daddy, daddy. I love Melba. Where am I going with this, guys? I can very easily relax, chill out, have a very good life. I don't need to make more money or any of that stuff. But I'm not comfortable with what they're doing to America. And I truly believe God is looking down at us, hoping for a few people courageous enough to stand up and talk about the things that matter. Charlie Kirk and I had lunch. By the way, phenomenal job. Matt Sapala did interview Charlie Kirk. But I'm talking to Charlie in the back, and Tom asked a question saying, hey Charlie, how often do you speak at corporations? He says, no, this never happens. He says, what do you mean? He says, I speak at fundraisers, stuff like that. I don't speak at corporations. He says, why not? He says, I just don't. He says, well, why? He says, they don't want me to talk about what I talk about. Most of these companies don't invite me to talk about stuff like this. He says, what was the craziest thing today that I've never seen in my life? Look what he said. He says, I came in here, I had no clue what was going to happen, because I knew there was a lot of Hispanics and African Americans here. He said, at the end, when I saw Hispanics, blacks, everybody stand up to give me a standing ovation, it was emotional for me, because I've never seen nothing like this. Never. Think about what he's talking about, right? I said, that is the fabric of what PHB is all about. That's us. We don't care what nationality you are. We don't care what degrees you got. We don't care how old you are. If you come here, you're respectful, you're coachable, you're willing to do the work, you're willing to go out there and do the right job, not cheat, not do any of that bogus stuff. If you don't do that, you stick around, eventually your dreams are going to become a reality. But it's going to be on you to do that. So tonight, you've heard from a lot of different people, folks debating, speakers, all of that stuff. We're going to do the last recognition here.